I I know my mic is really bad. I know maybe nobody's gonna watch this. But I just kind of want to talk. I might play. I'm supposed to play something while I talk. Let me find something to play. Okay, that's not bad. That might work. No, no, no. That doesn't take much brain power. My Minecraft save. I'll play Minecraft. So I've had to face many dilemmas in my life. Uh, do I want to wake up and eat this cereal or another? And I think it's fine to have fruitless dilemmas. I think everybody does. But, you know, as a being a human, I also have very strange dilemmas I think about often. For instance, I think about what's gone wrong with society, and I know people might disagree with this completely. I understand that's completely fine, but to me personally, whenever I hear something, uh, something like, "Oh, the world's gone to crap. Oh, we're all gonna die," it doesn't really make me want to make the world any better. I see people they're talking about Gen Z can't read. We're not making scientific progress. Why is everybody dying? Why are all political leaders a bunch of murderers? And as much as I understand some of that we can't do anything about, at the same time, I think sitting there and pounding about it doesn't really do anything. And I get that we're all trying to get that bag, we're all chasing that bag. We're all trying to make that YouTube video that blows up. I could be doing that myself, but I really just want to talk. You know, it's just that's life now. But nobody. I've just noticed nobody really cares about chasing knowledge. Like I talk to a lot of people. I tell them, "Oh, I want to be a mathematician." They're like, "Oh, you're gonna get no money." Well, I know that. Honestly, I don't really care. As a Christian, and that's a whole bag. I'll talk about that later. But as a Christian, money isn't my main focus in life. I actually have kind of a distasteful look towards money. Um, but, you know, I think it's just kind of, it's just kind of sad because I've talked to so many people and I've met a lot of people I respect. And I respect people who just want to be comfortable. I understand it completely. But at the same time, I don't think people realize that once you're comfortable, you get bored. It's not fun to be comfortable for years. You get bored, you go stir crazy. And I also get it's not you have to get out of your comfort zone to, you know, start doing mathematics or something like that. Because that's, you're actively chasing something that takes a lot of brain power. And I understand that it's not fun sometimes. I mean, sometimes, oh, I don't know what that was. Sometimes it's just, sometimes you gotta get out of your comfort zone to have more fun. Like, I remember when I was younger, everybody told me, "Oh, you're so good at math. You know, you're gonna be a great businessman." Because I'm massive, I'm huge. I'm like 6'1". I was like 6'1" and like 15. I weighed like 240 pounds, and I wasn't that fat either. But everybody tells me like, "Oh, you're gonna be a football player. Oh, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do that." Every time I tell them, "Hey, I'm gonna be a mathematician," they're like, "Oh, you could be a great businessman. How much money you gonna make being a mathematician?" And like, I hear that from Christians, and I'm like, dude, that's like what you're not supposed to be trying to do with your whole life. Like, I think a major part of mathematics is that from a Christian standpoint. So, if you're atheist, take it with a grain of salt, but it's my personal belief. I think it's the net logic and system that God made. So, why should I not be trying to learn about it? Why isn't it frowned upon? People will look at me and be like, well, it's respectable, but you're not getting any money. And it kind of ruins my day because it makes me think people pretend like they don't care anything about money and turn around and then start saying that everything needs to be about money. And I'm like, is that? And I get it because I care about money. I want money. I love money. Joke, kind of. But, you know, like having money is nice. I can do things I want. I can buy the textbooks I want. Of course, I buy mine used because, frankly, I don't want to spend like $100 on a single textbook. But, you know, people just are so hypocritical. They're so backwards. There's so much paradoxes with people. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm not without it. I'm just talking about what I've observed. I've also observed it in myself, and that's another reason I'm talking about it because, well, I do it too. So I think that makes it pretty fair to talk about. Um, but it's just, oh, ooh, that lagged my game. Um, it's just kind of like aggravating. I'm not mad at people at all. I understand, like I'm a massive exception with how I live my life, apparently. Um, apparently, maybe I'm super special, which I don't think so. I think other people could do it so easily. You just don't want, and that's fine. Yeah, you don't want it. It's like a lot of work. It's perfectly understand. I don't even understand why I want to. Ooh, there it is. But it's just, I hate, it's just sad to see because you see people talk about so many things about like, oh, boohoo, oh, it's so sad. We live in sad times. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, but like, think about everything that's so nice. Like, come on, player. What you hating on? Oh, shoot. Oh, there we go. And I understand it's so hard to be hopeful sometimes. I get that completely. Like, sometimes I even catch myself being like, oh, we're all gonna die. Oh, forgot. This does that. I catch myself doing that sometimes, and I don't like it. I don't like being there. But people just don't think about it. They just sit there and think it over and over the same over and over and over and over again. They think, oh, the world's coming to an end. We're all gonna die. AI is the end of the world. Well, I mean, to be fair, it could definitely be. Um, I have noticed it's not too great either. But, you know, the best thing you can do is be helpful about it. If you're gonna sit there and whine about, oh, we're all gonna die, you're not really doing anything. You're just complaining. Oh, okay, this is gonna be fun. Oh, easy P. Okay, this is extremely easy. Alright. Just. Oh! Yeah, you got me a little spooked there, buddy. I think I bugged him out. What did you do? What did he do? Oh, he looks pretty cool, though. But people talk about AI being the end of all of us. I think AI could just be such a useful tool if we learn how to use it. Ow, frick. Okay, there we go. What is that? What am I being attracted to? There we go. I need to get some. I need to find a way to breathe more. I think there's a draconic thing for that. I need to get a draconic kind of sweet thing down that thing down. Oh, at a charge range. I think. That sucks. Probably should get in the charge. Oh, anyway, I did it. Tidal forms. Tidal wave? Geometry dash reference? Anyway. You know, but you get so used to all this sadness and all this disparity that you learn that's all you see in life. And you learn to think that that's all there is in life. I hate that. Because, like, there's so much pretty things. I mean, thinking about art, think about, love. Come on. You hate? How are you hating on that? Let me try. Oh, we're so close. More. Oh, wait, no, we're at the max. Okay. It's just, it's disappointing. Because I bet I can look right now. Spiritual Gen. Oh, Gen Alpha. The internet destroyed Gen Alpha. This goes so much deeper than Gen Alpha can't read. Gen Alpha, hold on, let me just count. Every Gen Alpha can't read. Every single one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7. This one might. Okay, this is sarcastic. Six. No, it's 6. I don't know. I didn't count correctly. But it's the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm Gen Alpha. I read math books. And I can't, you're saying I can't read? Okay, can you read this? Huh? I want you to tell me what this means. And you're gonna say I can't read. I'm just a little offended. And it's so sad. I've seen kids who are younger than me who are like twice as smart as I am. Everybody's talking about, oh, they can't read. Oh, it's all brain rot. Well, I mean, they're not wrong, but at the same time, they're also not stupid. Like, I've seen some smart kids, being 15. I met a 6-year-old who had some of the best anime recommendations I've ever seen in my life. And he was fluent. He sounded smarter than I did. I was like, wow, this is cool. Somebody's like incredibly smart. And I love seeing people be like that. I love seeing people be smart. And as much as, I'm competitive, I'm like, I want to be the best in the room. I have to acknowledge it is great to see people be, you know, good at things. Like, I don't meet a lot of people who are good at math near me, mostly because of where I live and it's math. You have to be a weird, sort of strange to do it. And, you know, oh, hold up. I think my dick got stuck. Slow down, and I can't get it up. Oh, Bubba. C Daisy. I'm just gonna leave that. I'm just gonna leave that there. I don't want to deal with it. But I just think about this quite often. Speaking of that, yep. Okay. All right. All right. I will agree. My brain is basically rotted by all those streamers, Clavicular and all that, or stuff. And, growing up Christian, and I still am a Christian, you see a lot of homophobia. And I'm going to be honest, as a Christian, my goal is just to love people. Like, that's my big goal. The moment people get into Christianity, where you don't love people, you lost me. I think not even by Christianity, just loving people is important. You don't even have to be Christian to do that. And just disappointing to see that people have forgotten that message. Like, I grew up and my parents told me everybody can be good. Everybody can be a good person. And I think they can. You know, Christianity, we don't like Muslims very much. Nothing against the Muslim people, their religion, whole nother bag. Maybe I'll make a video talking about that. And it's not that I hate them. So if you're Muslim, don't get mad at me until I talk about it, because if you do, it's kind of dumb and immature. So don't do that. But just crazy stuff I've seen. And, you know, we live in a world where one day somebody will be talking about, and I was talking about this with the hypocritical thing. People just flip. And it's not like, in a good way where like you're having an argument, somebody's wrong, somebody's right, some person who's wrong is like, oh wait, you're right. No, that's a good flip. People will just completely betray what they think for anything. Just for like just because an influencer who isn't any more educated than you or I am, or professionally educated. There's some influencers are very educated. I'll give them that. Or very sound like they're very educated. Some of them I trust, but I don't really use them as a news sources personally. One being Wendigo. He's not my news source. I just like watching him. I mean, there's more things about that. I'll make another video covering that. But is hypocrisy the right word for this? Give me some. Yes. I think it is. Hypocrisy. Yeah. People will just bail on you. And I'm like, that's just stupid, dude. I have a friend, and no hate to him. He's not a sweet guy. I'll tell him now. But I was friends with him. I made a little distasteful jokes, which is fair. I made the joke, what's long, hard, and has cum in the middle? Cucumber. And he's like, that's disgusting. And then got mad at me and then stopped being my friend. And then tried to avoid texting me, would only text me to tell him that or only text me if I was like, "How are you?" He'd be like, "Oh, I'm sucking." And honestly, so a little bit of story behind him. His mother died from COVID, and poor kid. He's not dumb, but he after that he got like a little narcissistic. And it sucks. I grew up around. I have a narcissistic grandmother. Probably because you're gonna blow your mind when you hear this. So when we were getting the our one of our first house. My family was getting their first house with their money. They and my grandmother bought it together. She took our names off of the deed or whatever it was, or something like that, without telling us. That's crazy, dude. Like that's evil, bro. But she did that, and we're like, okay, well, that's a narcissistic thing we didn't do. We'll avoid talking to her. Never talk to her again. My mom still helps her every once in a while. And, things like that happen. Um, uh, but, growing from a young age, I was talking about this a little bit earlier. I used to I have very, very loving parents. I love my parents to death, and they are extremely sweet and have done the absolute best they can for me. Of course, trouble has still found my way. I still have a porn addiction. Great. Awesome. Isn't that awesome? But I told my parents about that. They were like, oh, yeah, we'll help you. Uh, you know, Try to encourage you and stuff like that. But they did say something. I've been questioning the validity of this, but at the same time, I'm not going to go any more onto that. Actually, I don't know if anybody would really want to hear about that. And at the same time, I feel like I'd be uncomfortable with facing if that was a bad idea or not. Maybe I'll be comfortable with it if that's a bad idea, and maybe we'll have to talk about it. But very loving parents. But my grandfather on my dad's side, my mother's side was the house deed. That was my mother's side. My mother, I'm 50% Hungarian. My mother are immigrants. Mother's an immigrant from Hungary, and my dad, my grandfather is from the deep south, which, funnily enough, actually runs straight towards me because number one, I make great fried chicken, as I've heard. I also love fried chicken and watermelon. I will die for fried chicken and watermelon, or watermelon, either one. I would say and or, but or is just usually inclusive or, so it's not like it's a big deal. Anyway, let's see this does. Cool. But my grandfather was the CFO of Compaq, CFO of Compaq, and my grandfather always talks about like business, and my grandmother is very to herself, very quiet, and she loves reading and she loves science. She loves quantum stuff. I'm not sure if she does. She's into the math, physics part of it, but she likes the ideas, and that's respectable. You know, you got to be a little quirky to be on the math side of it, and it's also a lot to handle. I'm barely sure if I can handle it at all. Not even barely. I can't. But I should probably start working on this recipe. I'll work on this. So that's easy, easy. This is easy. But actually, I'm just gonna do the classic jumping around. I'm gonna find a good spot to jump around. Hold on. You know what everybody knows what I'm talking about. The jumping. Here we go. But basically, my born to a strange family. They all love me. They all love me. We're all kind of whack. My dad loves fashion. My mom's a florist. And my dad used to be an artist, or wanted to be an artist. He's not. He might be going through some midlife crisis. I have no idea, but he certainly didn't let me become insecure. He says he raised probably one of the most secure people of all time. Because I just don't really have much to be insecure. I think insecurity is kind of stupid. I just don't get the idea of it. I don't know what there is to be insecure about. It's like there's bigger fish to fry, you know, like I I gotta do math. I gotta do my calculus textbook. I'm like halfway through. I want to finish it by the end of the summer. I gotta read my logic. Gotta get better at proofs. I'm sucking at those. I gotta beat this Montag, which would be the first one I've ever beaten. I'm very proud of that. And then, maybe try to find some friends. I have like two friends, and I love them both. One of them's my cousin. He's an awesome friend. He's insecure, but I think he'll get over it. Just a little secret. I think he's gonna get over it. I think he's just gonna sit there and realize, oh, this is stupid. Why was I thinking this? Why I'm stupid? He's always saying he's stupid, but he's not. He's just not good at remembering things like I am. I'm awful at it. At least anything that isn't math or Minecraft or what's another thing I don't forget? Yeah, well, anyway. But I forget people's faces, names. I remember houses. I remember houses so well. I remember the layout of houses so well. Like, I know my buddy's house from like 6 years ago back in Maui. I remember going in his house. I remember the layout of it. I remember my other friend's layout. And then I remember another one's layout because they had like a trampoline in their backyard. But I remember those things. And he thinks, like, oh, I'm so stupid. He's becoming a civil engineer because he's like 4 years older than I am. He's going to college and, I'm extremely happy for him. I grew up with him. He used to be very fat. He lost a ton of weight. Now he's going to the gym. And, seeing him become more mature and grow up and become, a good person, even though he was a good person at the start, is extremely soon. Did I hear somebody? Extremely sweet person. But it was just, he's just kind of insecure. Maybe I should end the part now. All right, if you're listening to this, I forgot you know my YouTube channel. If you listen to this, just don't pretend it never happened. But anyway, I just hate all this hypocrisy that we deal with in society, and all this insecurity, and all this frivolous bullshit. Like, people wake up about thinking about, wow, I'm so depressed. Well, you're depressed. And well, not gonna use depression. That's an awful example. Depression is a complete exception from what I'm talking about. That's not an excuse. That's just an actual problem, and it's incredibly hurtful to families and yourself. If you're depressed, that sucks. I'll talk to you. We can talk. That'll help. I can ramble to you if you want. I can ramble to you about math. If you're depressed, comment. I'm sad. I'm super duper uber sad with a sad face, not the sad one that people use to like. Oh my god, not the sun side face, but like it's actual sad face. But people talk so much BS. They talk about all these stupid people talking like crazy things. Or my favorite example. Let me go check my water. That was nice. Took a lot of water there. But people talk about like we'll have one problem and now it's the other. Has anybody talking about microplastics in a while? I haven't been hearing about that. No, the big things, the Epstein files, they're all problems. Why are we just skipping over them? Just solve them. Solve them now. isn't really that hard to start solving problems instead of focusing on new problems and forgetting the old ones. And like I think, and this is a conspiracy theory, and feel free to call me wrong, whatever you want. I'll pay attention. I'll see. I would like to see the logic behind why I'm wrong, and I'll test it out. You might be right. I'd love to see you be right. Like they used to cheer when they saw contradictions in the Bible, the old scribes, because it would lend to more understanding. Well, I'm the same way in my brain. I love contradictions. Shows me, wow, I need to work on this. I love it. Gives me more time to think. I love thinking. It's so cool. Thinking is so fire. If you don't be thinking, you ain't be thugging. If you ain't thinking, you ain't thugging. You straight bugging. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's an awful line. But I can't make that. I can have that. No, I don't. I don't have that. So hold up. I think slow down. I can't get up. Nothing, nothing. You gotta think of me. My butt, boom, you try. Play with your kids. Hold up, and lick my balls a little bit. If you wanna live inside your mouth, you gotta see it in your butt. Alright, I'm sorry. That's a crazy tangent. That's just all this hypocrisy. Like, one day we're worrying about global warming, next day we're learning about everything else. It's Israel this, Israel that, Iran, Trump this, Trump that. They're all bad. They're all bad. One's not bad, worse than the other. They're all bad. I mean, actually, there are ones that are worse than the other. But, like, nobody focuses on the fact that, potentially the shadow government is trying to kill everybody. Which, years ago I would have been like, oh yeah, haha, very funny, shadow government. No, the fact that that's a possibility that could be true blows my mind. There could be people who are just trying to kill us. They just want us all dead. And it's just plausible. It's perfectly plausible now. We see what happens with our governments. We just allow crazy bullshit to happen. And I don't look at politics very much. I think politics itself is to separate people. I think the way we treat politics and media is just a massive ploy by the quote unquote shadow government to split us apart. I think parties itself actually do that. I was on a Discord server and these all left leaning people. I'm more centrist and conservative. I'm more conservative leaning. But I'm more conservative leaning, but there's a lot about that. I'd go on to that later, maybe in another video, like my talking about Muslims video. But maybe or like I'm talking about Muslims. If you're Muslim, no hate, you're pretty chill. But I would like to talk with your. I would like to talk about your religion in another video. So if you'd love to talk about that, maybe I'll live stream it. If this video gets traction, I'll live stream it. It might not. I don't know how long I've been talking. I think it's maybe been 30 minutes. I think. I have no idea. I don't know where to check either. Anyway. Oh, no, it's down here. Yeah, 30 minutes. Anyway, the point being, there's just this crazy hypocrisy that's going on. And people talk about, oh, I'm not judging others. Oh, I'm loving everybody. And then you turn around and say, oh, the right's killing people. Well, you know what's killing people? Your hypocrisy. And then the right turns around and says, the left is killing people. You know what's killing them? Your hypocrisy. It's all hypocrisy fighting hypocrisy, creating more hypocrisy. And I don't understand if people see that. Or maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just wild. Maybe I'm just out of my mind. But I was on this Discord server. People were talking. I remember one day people were talking about the right are killing the left. They're trying to kill my people. Where are they killing them? I'm sorry. Who's killing who? Is there something I'm missing? Like, huh? And what? And I understand. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the right leaning side. I think they're sometimes complete bozos, but that's for both sides. But like, and then I turn up next like another day, um, and I kid you not, I have a deep conversation with this trans dude and a couple other dudes about politics. And instead of saying, "Oh, these people are killing each other," and getting mad at me for something like, "Wait, they're killing each other?" I would like to see that happening. Or like, "Are you sure they're really doing that?" I think talking about the fact that they're killing each other makes them kill each other more, and being a little bit like, "Are you sure about that?" Instead of, them getting mad at me for doing that, like, "Oh, maybe I should think deeper about politics, or maybe I should look a little bit more into it." It's which I be do that with caution. Like I don't, but I kind of do. Here example of hypocrisy. I said I don't, but I really do. And I also will be like, don't think I'm educated about politics. I don't even read the news. I don't even think I've looked at the news. I think the most news I get is a most critical video about something Trump's done. Like I kid you not, or like a random video, or like I saw a news headline. And I usually try to avoid using those in conversation, but if I need to use something in conversation, then I'll go look it up and double check if I'm right. So that's how I usually do things. But I'm just not educated, and others assume they're educated. They're wrong. No one's educated. We're in an uneducated society. But it's just, oh, it's crazy to see the hypocrisy and people not realize that talking about all this makes you not like each other. Crazy thought, right? But like, I see all this. I see what's been happening in America, and it's just like, wow, we're all crazy. We're all insane. Doesn't surprise me, of course. I think that's all I have to say. I'll talk about that in Muslim video. I'll talk about maybe I'll think about making a video about my perspective on religion. It's not just Muslim, but if Muslims or any religions at all, if you would like to talk a little bit more about your perspectives about Christianity as a Christian, I'd love to hear that. It'd be amazing to hear. And I'll give you some perspectives of yours from mine. I'll try to be very respectful. Don't get too mad at me if I mess up. But thank you very much for watching this video. Much appreciated. Thank you. Have a great day. It's 2:26 in the morning. So have a great day.